And this is where we are, folks. It's like nothing ever happened. It's like, I am the pretty cream puff princess. So point being, she's on the red carpet carrying on as if someone who had just won 13 of the 13 claims here. Like, you know, nothing to see here. Everything is just as it should be in Blake's world, I guess. We need to all overlook that, because her hair care line and her liquor lines and her businesses were suffering. So that's why we have to overlook that. We are taking away Blake's ability to market her hair care and peddle her booze on us. You see what I mean? It's just all of these people. That right there is enough to make everyone just want to just like spit nails, but it's not the traditional meaning of the word. So she can say she's a godparent all she wants. This friend of hers from Northwestern can say that she's a godparent all they want, but I can assure you, in the traditional canonical sense, she is not a godparent. I mean, she has always been trying to shock for so long that she's just doesn't even shock anymore. It's just kind of just I did a video on her a couple months back about how she's just got this incessant need to show us all her boobs at the age of almost 70. It's just really gross. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jennifer. I'm so happy to have you. If you are new, welcome. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Such a privilege to be talking to you today. It's coffee talk time. Again, I don't care what you are drinking. Today, I'm a bad girl. I've got my Coke Zero inside my little stainless steel tumbler here because I needed a little jolt of caffeine to talk to you about all the stuff I want to talk to you about today, because I'm telling you, I say this all the time, but constant. Why do I feel like we are being vomited on by crazy people? Famous, crazy people. It's like God has blessed them with affluent careers and lifestyles and all this stuff, but yet they choose to vomit all over us and gaslight us and make us feel like we're the problem and we're crazy. So we need to discuss. I want to talk today about the updates with the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case. Sure, you heard about what has been happening there. A lot of us are a little upset. Definitely, again, feel gaslit over the last almost 2 years regarding this craptacular saga. And to have it end in the nothing burger way that it has, I just think deserves a little bit more of a kind of like slow down. Let's just think about this. Let's just talk about this. Because some of these things have been weighing on my mind since I heard about the way it all went down. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a touch about the Met Gala. Not a lot there. I don't really like to give too much airtime to it because I don't really feel like giving too much credence or attention to, you know, public satanic ritual, in my opinion, type of just debauchery. People are calling it, you know, all the things they call it, gauche, just a bunch of, you know, rich elites full of themselves, which I'm totally in agreement. That's exactly what I think it is. But there are a few things we can talk about there, just a few. I want to talk about Meghan. This story that has come out in the last week about her being a godparent to an unnamed friend of hers at Northwestern University and an unnamed son, which none of us have heard anything about prior to this particular article surfacing this past week in People magazine. I'm going to talk about it from a Roman Catholic perspective because I am a Roman Catholic. And when I heard this story, I have to admit, I have to tell you at first, I was really pissed off. Thought about it a little bit more, and I'm going to try to offer as positive of a spin I can on it and to try to be as charitable about it as I can, but I've got some opinions. And what else did I want to talk to you guys about? If I have time, I want to tell you a little bit about the whole Sentabale defamation lawsuit against Harry and that other dude debacle that's going on. A couple things that I researched and looked up because the UK court system is really slow, like notoriously slow. Like we haven't still heard what is going on and what the outcome is going to be about this whole thing we've been going on and on, you know, Harry, about his lawsuit against the UK newspapers. I believe the judge is still going over everything and hasn't even reached his judgment. That could be months. And then this whole Bali thing. And yeah, I think that's probably all I can pack into this episode. You know me, I like to go on and on and on and on. I really do. I just get fired up. I get fired up, but I'm going to try to rein myself in a little bit if I can. Can't promise anything. You know, what's been going on with me personally, stuff that's been happening behind the scenes, another trip I just got back from with my crazy Clark Griswold husband of mine. This time he dragged us to a 2.5-day trip of Amsterdam. It was fun, don't get me wrong. I am not complaining. I am not complaining about that. It's just, as I get older and more crotchety, I gotta say, I'm more and more of a homebody. I mean, I really, really am. So he just, if he had his way, he would travel and he would probably leave the country because we're in Germany right now. If he had his way, I am telling you, the man would probably every single weekend travel somewhere around or to a different country, something. And he's just very Clarky Griswoldy in that way. So yeah, lots to talk about. Get your beverage, get cozy. I'll wait, press pause, and let's get going. The first thing I want to talk about is the Blake Lively Justin thing. But before we do that, I want you to watch this video. This video, God help me, made my blood boil. This is Blake Lively on the red carpet, or whatever the hell carpet it is, at the Met Gala. This is within, I believe, minutes of the news hitting the media that there had been a settlement between Blake and Justin. And it was a huge flatline, nothing burger. Like, they've settled, it's done. After almost 2 years of constant gaslighting, mostly from her end and her team and her lawyers and all this garbage, it's done. And then she conveniently shows up on the carpet at the Met Gala wearing a dress that takes at least 5 or 6 handlers on the red carpet to help her maneuver around. It's like she's almost carrying on as someone who didn't just a month ago or so have 10 of her 13 claims thrown out by a judge in a summary judgment, because that's essentially what happened a month or so ago. 10 out of the 13 claims were thrown out. She was accusing Justin Baldoni of SAing her on the set of It Ends With Us. That's how all of this started. And I've made videos about it in the past. I'll link it in the description if you really don't know anything about it and just want kind of me to catch you up on it. But so the meat of her claims, like the big thing that started all this, was thrown out. What was left was just her alleging his company, Wayfarer Productions, her accusing them of defaming her in a calculated social media campaign to, you know, just basically disparage her and just drag her whole career and reputation through the mud. Mind you, she seems to have done that very well on her own without Wayfarer's help. But I digress. So point being, she's on the red carpet carrying on as if someone who had just won 13 of the 13 claims here. Like, you know, nothing to see here. Everything is just as it should be in Blake's world, I guess. And she's just sliding right back into her specially afforded position of prestige and recognition and her, you know, perfectionist, privileged lifestyle. And look at me, I'm back, you know, and how they always pose with like the hand on the hip and like the jutted out shoulder to just show their necklines and how beautiful they are. And I'm just like, who invited her? First of all, it's rumored all over that no one invited her to this, that she paid, I think it was like $100,000 to show up. And I think if you want to buy a table, it's $350,000, the cost of, you know, most of America's home that they live in. But I'm thinking to myself, what is happening? So just watch this and see if you are infuriated as I am just watching this display. And that's her directing her handlers on the carpet, you know, to fluff up her dress in the way she wants it fluffed for the photo. I mean, look at this. Look at this. There we go, hand on hip, right? Yeah, okay, so she's gonna go up the steps so that they can get the best shot. If you're gonna show up at the Met Gala, what I would suggest to you, Blake, is why don't you just wear something that doesn't require 10 people to follow you to hold up and fluff? First of all, that right there is enough to make everyone just want to just like spit nails. Just show up in something nondescript and simple and just do your little hand on hip that way. But just the fact that it's this big of an ensemble is annoying. And you can tell me, 10 ways to Sunday that, oh, it's the Met Gala and it's supposed to be over the top. But you know what? In my humble opinion, she's not afforded that privilege right now. In fact, she's not even afforded the privilege of going and posing because no one wants to see it. No one cares. Everyone's angry. Everyone's angry at the way that this woman tried to drag Justin Baldoni through the mud for almost 2 years. And she doesn't seem apologetic or repentant about it at all. There's nothing coming out of this woman that screams any type of grace or humility or wanting to just take a step back. She paid, let's call it what it is. She paid her $100,000 to show up and get some publicity. And she timed it. She timed it to happen right when the release of the settlement with Justin happened, as if to say, I'm shrugging this off, I'm moving on. And guess what? Me and you also need to shrug it off as well and get over it. But I don't think any of us who have been even a tiny bit interested in this case and have been following it are ready to do that. So let me just give you, I've got my notes here pulled up that I made in my notes app on my phone. So I already talked about where we are. So again, the judge back in April of 2026 dismissed 10 of those 13 allegations that she had directed towards Justin, among them and most important being the SA, the harassment, and some claims of defamation against him personally. So what does that mean? That's basically a judge looking at it saying, there is not enough here to go to trial, and I'm not going to allow it to go to trial. There's just nothing here. She can make her, little filing that she made when all this started back in, was it late 24 in December, when she filed in California, their human rights division or whatever the heck it was. And then she's the one, actually, if you want to get technical about smearing people and defaming people, she's the one that put out that New York Times hit piece on Justin in December of 24, basically hitting us all and vomiting us all with it. And that man at that particular moment in time was hated and he lost everything. His agent, it was terrible for him. He basically had to go into hiding for a little bit before he got lawyered up. It was crazy. So that's what happened back in April of 26. But where we find ourselves now a couple of days ago is that on May 4th, this was settled between her and the remaining defendants. Because remember, Blake is still the plaintiff. What was remaining, his Wayfair production company, she settled with them essentially. And this happened on May 4th. And it's being reported in the news that there has been no monetary compensation on either side. Blake has not paid Justin 1 red cent, and neither has Justin paid 1 red cent to Blake. Now, the real winners here, as we all know, are the lawyers, because it's also being reported that lawyers on both sides probably made a combined estimated total of $60 million. So in that sense, of course, those are the real winners there, the lawyers. So this all ended 2 weeks before trial. And this is what I think happened. Oh, and also another thing I have here is that there was something called a dismissal with prejudice, meaning that there's a voluntary dismissal of all remaining claims and neither side can raise these claims against each other in a future lawsuit. So the possibility of future lawsuits with the same claim are now off the table, although why would they want to? And then they did release a mutual statement, which I will read to you and we'll talk about. But they're basically talking about how I think everyone was just really, really sick of it. And I think Blake pretty much knew that her bum was going to be really on the line, because just this past week, there were tons of documents that were unsealed that further really dragged down her and both her husband's reputations in the mud, showing how completely just vile their behavior and their attitudes were against Justin and the levels that they went to try to take this man down. And I really think that in my opinion, it came down to Ryan Reynolds. I think Ryan Reynolds looked at the writing on the wall and felt like, I don't want this to go to trial. I don't want our names smeared and defamed any more than they already are. He didn't really want his wife going to trial and making him look bad, because he knew it was going to end up being another Amber Heard type situation, where Amber Heard, as you guys all remember, was her own worst enemy on that stand. All she did really was prove what a freaking loon she was, and it vindicated Johnny in every way. I mean, Johnny Depp is not a perfect, 100% perfect human being. No one ever said that. But when you looked at this woman, when you studied her cross-examination, you really, really saw the levels of narcissistic delusion and just ego that she was under, really feeling that just because she said certain things that made them true, and she was to be believed no matter what. And I think that Ryan knows who he's married to. I also, in my opinion, think that he is a not so nice person. And I think that he didn't want his reputation further damaged by association, because everything that we've been finding out over these past 2 years, the lengths that these two went to. So yeah, so I think they wanted to avoid all of that. But let me read to you this mutual joint statement. And this is what's really, really upsetting a lot of people, because they really feel like Justin Baldoni did not get vindicated in the way I think that the public wanted him to be vindicated. Because what he did to really help repair his reputation first and foremost, but to preserve and kind of maintain what little integrity he had at the time that she was, publishing all of this about him in the New York Times at the end of 2024, he had to come out and he had to defend himself. But him and his lawyer, Brian Friedman, and their team did it in a very smart and strategic way, in that they released everything. They had full transparency. They released all of the text messages. They released emails, and he was releasing, as director of It Ends With Us, dailies of him acting with Blake to show that he was kind, that he was compassionate towards her, and that there wasn't any craziness going on behind the scenes as it pertained to what she was alleging. So they were really smart, and they did that very, very early on, after she had put out that harassment claim against him. And then that's when he responded with that $400 million defamation lawsuit. Now that was eventually thrown out as well, but timing that at the same time with everything that him and his lawyer Friedman released was just gold. It was gold, because then that's when all the online, as Blake's team likes to call it, all of us crazy mommy sleuths out here, were just reading all this, and we were doing our research, and we were like, wow, like the depths that she went through. It was crazy. So because she behaved so badly, and because her husband, Ryan Reynolds, behaved so badly, and it was all just there to see in black and white for the world, to read this joint statement now just angered a lot of people. And, I read it and I was like, wow, what a testament to the beautiful humanity of a man named Justin Baldoni to allow this statement to go through and not really have to do this got you finger in Blake's face. Because if Blake really had some truth and credence to everything that she was alleging Justin did, darn well that she would have been the type to, wag her finger in his face. But it's been pretty much proven, because not only did he release everything he released to show what kind of person she was, but the judge dismissed 10 of her 13 allegations. So, that's not legally sound anyway. But it's like he has all this stuff in his corner to vindicate him, but still, just to release this statement is just let me read it to you. So it says, the end product, the movie It Ends With Us, is a source of pride to all of us who worked to bring it to life. And I'll just read the whole thing and then we'll discuss. Raising awareness and making a meaningful impact in the lives of domestic violence survivors and all survivors is a goal that we stand behind. We acknowledge the process presented challenges and recognize concerns raised by Miss Lively deserved to be heard. We'll get back to that. We remain firmly committed to workplaces free of improprieties and unproductive environments. It is our sincere hope that this brings closure and allows all involved to move forward constructively and in peace, including a respectful environment online. Wow. Again, wow. How calm and measured is this? Now, this is something that Justin and his team had to agree to. But remember, it was still Blake's case that was moving forward, even after 10 of the 13 of the allegations she put out against him were dismissed by that judge. She's still the plaintiff. So it's ultimately, because I was watching an interview with Brian Friedman on the Kjersti Flaa YouTube channel. And if you have not checked out Kjersti Flaa, she was instrumental in bringing so much information about this case to light, because she herself was the interviewer in that infamous Blake Parker Posey interview where Blake's true colors really came out. And Kjersti was subpoenaed. You know, her name was dragged through the mud by the New York Times. She is a wonderful gal and a wonderful reporter. Great channel. I would encourage you to go check her out. And she, and rightly so, just blew up her YouTube channel during all of this, and she deserves all of the praise and accolades because she's such a sweet lady. And Brian Friedman, Justin's lawyer, told her in an interview on her channel the other day that, you know, remember, Blake is the plaintiff. So she is the one ultimately at the end of the day that wants to settle this. Now, the final granting of a settlement still has to come by way of a judge, but it will more than likely be. And the judge will say, fine, I accept the plaintiffs, you know, wanting to settle this. But so, you know, there was probably a lot of back and forth going on between her and Justin's team to how they were going to carefully word this statement. But in my mind, reading this, the first two paragraphs where they're just essentially talking about the movie and their hope in preserving the important and impactful message about, you know, domestic violence, what this movie is about, I kind of didn't really care about that. I kind of thought that that was superfluous to include. Kind of shows that in Hollywood, the bottom line is still the bottom line is still the bottom line, and promoting movies and making money off said promoted movies is still the number one thing. So I'm sure that both sides, Blake's side and Justin's side, are probably hoping that there's going to be a resurgence of attention on this movie. And, you know, they don't want to have this movie go down as being like no one wants to watch it or see it. They're still trying to prop it up as this important piece with this important message and all this kind of stuff. Frankly, I saw the movie. I thought it was crap. I didn't really care for it at all. I thought Justin was pretty good in it. Blake, to me, seemed very one-dimensional. She seems the same in every single movie that I've ever seen her in. But a lot of people who have, I guess, followed her career over the years say that she essentially acts the same in every movie that she did. She did when she was on that show, that television show, The Gossip Girl. So I don't know what kind of real acting range the woman has. I wouldn't consider her a movie star. I would just consider her someone that acts in films and is married to someone uber famous and makes money. But anyway, it's just, I thought the movie was dumb. I didn't like the way it ended. I mean, personally, spoiler alert here, if this guy is slapping her around and abusing her, the end of the movie is basically her telling him why she is divorcing him and taking his child away from him and how he's just going to accept it. And then, you know, we're all going to tie it up in a bow and like, we're done. And in the end scene, he was just like kind of taking it all in and saying like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I'm a horrible, awful person and you need to take my child away from me. Now, first and foremost, let me say, I'm not saying that I support men that slap their wives around and, you know, I'm all this stuff, you know, that she doesn't have cause to say what she's saying to the character. None of that. What I'm talking is, it's not realistic. If the guy really is a wife abuser and he's going to slap her around and he's not going to be a nice person, I don't really think that he would react in kind in such a calm, like, oh yeah, sure, whatever you want kind of way that he did in the movie. I think in real life, there'd be more of a fight, especially if the dude's a doctor. And of course, he's going to fight for custody, at least 50% custody of the kid. So I just thought the whole ending was really dumb and stupid. And I thought the way that they were setting up his pursuit of her in the movie was also just like a little bit creepy. It's almost like they were setting his character up to be creepy. It was just weird. If you've seen it and you disagree with me and you like the movie, let me know in the comments down below. But I was unimpressed with the movie. I frankly thought it was boring and whatever. But yeah, so I think they're trying to at least maybe hope that they'll get a couple, you know, extra 500,000 views on Netflix or Hulu or wherever the heck this movie is playing just by putting that in the statement. And then going further into the statement, talking about acknowledging that the whole process, you know, the filming and all that presented challenges, and her concerns were deserving of, you know, she deserved to be heard. And I'm thinking, okay, you know that Blake's team probably fought really, really hard to have that in there, and Justin's team fought less hard. Again, a testament, I believe, to Justin and his humanity, because even before all this debacle unfolded, he was always presenting himself as a man who was a staunch feminist, and he would go on podcasts and he would make posts on his Instagram, wearing his man buns and talking about the power of femininity. And he would be doing these yoga poses with his wife and talking about healing from the trauma that he inflicted on her. And I think he's talked in the past about his struggles, okay, I don't want to say any trigger words here on YouTube, because there's people are getting into trouble left and right on this platform. But point being, he was a really, really sympathetic, almost feminine dude. So I think he really, really does believe in this. I think he really, really does buy into all the Me Too-ness of the Me Too movement. And he still wants to stand by his beliefs. And that's why I think he allowed that and told his team it was okay to keep that in there, to show that he's rising above all of Blake's just grossness and just her vindictiveness, and the message of keeping women empowered. That's more important than anything. So that's why I think that that's still in there. And he's not a vindictive person the way that Blake is. I mean, Blake was described by a Sony studio exec during all of this as being a terrorist. And in my opinion, that's exactly what she is. But he's showing his humanity here. He's showing himself to be the complete antithesis of that. And then also, they're just committed to having workplaces free of improprieties and unproductiveness. And it's like, okay, well, isn't any sane person. So that's just a big word salad fluff thing. And then they just all want to move forward constructively and in peace and have a respectful environment online. Now, 100% that's Blake's team putting that in there. She doesn't want to be criticized anymore online, you guys. Everything that we know about the depths that she can sink to in order to just defame and just basically character assassinate a man, we need to all overlook that, because her hair care line and her liquor lines and her businesses were suffering. So that's why we have to overlook that. We are taking away Blake's ability to market her hair care and peddle her booze on us. That's why we're supposed to overlook all of this stuff and the way she dragged in her friend Taylor Swift and all of this. And Taylor doesn't even want to be near her anymore because Taylor doesn't want to have anything affect her bottom line either. You see what I mean? It's just all of these people. She doesn't get to decide for us what we are going to talk about. And she doesn't get to decide how we're supposed to feel about it. But that's exactly what she's trying to do in that statement. And would I say that Justin probably believes and will say, yeah, can we all just move forward? But you know what? He's well within his own rights to say that. And he's well within his rights to say, let's just keep it respectful and move forward and whatever. Because he didn't do anything wrong. He was the one dragged into all of this, in my personal opinion. But she does not have a right to tell people, in my opinion, she doesn't have that right to tell us to just shut up and forget about it. When you behave the way that you behave, in a just evil way, in my opinion, you cannot expect people to forget this, because she really, really hurt a lot of people. It wasn't just Justin. It was his production company, Wayfair. It was all the people that were, employed in that company. She relegated the man to a basement, him and his entire family to a basement, because she wanted to bully him and saying, I'm not going to walk the carpet or promote unless you put him in the basement and keep him away from me. And the studio was fine with it. He still held his head high and just had his own little private premiere. But people were kind of wondering, why isn't the director and the star walking the carpet at the same time and co-mingling and enjoying each other's company together to promote? It was just, there were so many things that were wrong with this from the very, very beginning. And it all goes back to the way that Blake acts. So I'm sorry, Blake, you don't get to decide how the public feels about this settlement agreement. You do not get to decide our opinion of you. Because rest assured, and don't ever forget that our opinion of you is based on what we've seen for almost 2 years play out in the media. So God bless Justin Baldoni. I really, really do hope that this man can move forward in peace and get some type of closure for him and his family. And there's only one more thing that's making me a little bit scared and sad for Justin and his family, is because the main lawsuit is settled, but the legal battle in its entirety is not over yet. And what's happening is that Blake Lively still has a pending motion for the attorney's fees. And apparently she's going to try to get damages stemming from that lawsuit that he filed against her for $400 million that was dismissed. And apparently they're saying that there's more information that's going to be coming out about that. I do hope that they do get that settled and she doesn't ask for that. I mean, come on. Her husband, Ryan Reynolds, is apparently worth over $400 million. She's worth about $20 million. And I would venture to say, I haven't looked up how much Justin Baldoni is worth. Let me look this up really quick. Yeah, I was right. Justin Baldoni, his net worth isn't even 10 million. So I don't know what she expects that she's going to get from him at this point. And it's not going to do a hell of a lot to her already in tatters, in the ditch gutter reputation, to then go after him now even more for whatever her legal fees are. I'm sure that, you know, there's coin in your husband's purse that can help this situation that you find yourself in the way of legal fees, Blake. So get real. And it's just, and especially when 10 of your original 13 claims were dismissed in a summary judgment in April. What does that tell you? The man launched a $400 million defamation lawsuit against her at that point because of her initial 13 claims, which were dismissed. So it's like, you're going to go after the man for more money for your legal fees? It's like you just want to soothe yourself. Make this make sense. Take a sip and make it make sense. Anyway, all the love and support to Justin. And, people like me, I was like this too. I read this and I got really ticked off and I'm like, why is Justin allowing this? Because there's no real admission of, I don't want to say guilt, but it didn't seem like there was any recognition. It's like there wasn't any apology. There wasn't any of that. I guess I can understand from a legal standpoint why they don't want to do that. But you know what? Who are we to tell Justin how he should handle and process this whole thing? Because at the end of the day, he really, really does seem like a very, very decent human being who just wants to just get this woman out of his life and his universe and move on. And you know what, Justin? That's what we all want to do. So more power to you. I'm happy that this is over. I hope you don't have to owe this horrible woman any more money. Just let her little, Green Lantern husband take care of it as far as I'm concerned. So God bless you, Justin. God bless your family. Your poor wife, what she had to go through, I can only imagine, because if you have a good, strong wife at your side, if you're a man who's a good man, but you also have a good, strong wife in your corner standing with you, loving you, supporting you, I can guarantee you that Emily, his wife, probably went through every single pain, every single just heartache and tear and headache just over all of this. This woman probably needs a Nobel Peace Prize, needs a long week at the spa. And so God bless both of them, and moving on. Like I said, I don't really care or give two craps too much about this whole Met Gala stuff. But it's got to be a real, show if Lauren Sanchez is one of the ones on the red carpet looking the most normal and the most modest. And, say what you will about Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos. I covered their wedding last year, talked a little bit about that. But a lot of people are really, really pissed off that her and her husband are now kind of in charge of it, and she's, the whole chair of the whole deal, and they don't like the fact that she's there because she's kind of outside of that little artsy fartsy Met Gala type of whole scene, and she's just kind of going in there with her, like, she kind of just has always to me looked like a woman that lives in Vegas and relishes the whole casino scene and walks around, because she always looks like she just walked out of the club, if you know what I mean. But it's just like, So what? They don't like Jeff, and they don't like the fact that he's a friend of Trump's, and they don't like a lot of things. But guess what? Like him and his wife, there is a new sheriff in town. So if she is, her and Jeff, if they're giving all the money for this thing, they just need to pipe down. They just need to pipe down. But some of these things, like, okay, the one that I was looking at, the whole Katy Perry one where she's wearing that thing that looks like a mirror on her face. They're always trying to send a message, and the message of this one was costume art or something, right? That was the whole theme this year. So I was thinking, what is the message that the fabulously intellectually astute Katy Perry, who's got a lot of her own problems now with these alleged harassments, allegations going on, but like, what is she trying to tell us? And maybe she's trying to tell us that there's a mirror over her face, and what we're putting on her and projecting on Katy is just a mirror reflection of what we have going on in ourselves. That's just what I instinctively feel that whole theme was, with that whole face piece. I mean, I don't know, whatever. So yeah, just a lot of weirdness. You had Madonna here wearing all black, looking like the high priestess witch or something, with all these weirdo ladies holding her train in 4 different directions. I mean, she has always been trying to shock for so long that she's just doesn't even shock anymore. It's just kind of just, I did a video on her a couple months back about how she's just got this incessant need to show us all her boobs at the age of almost 70. It's just really gross. It's really gross. But the cool thing, oh yeah, and then the whole Heidi Klum costume. Did you guys see that? She looks like she was dipped in plaster of Paris. And Heidi Klum's known for her costumes. Like she throws that big annual Halloween party every year where she goes all out. And I mean all out, like Rick Baker, creature creator, movie set type of costumes. This one was a little creepy, I gotta say. Just beyond that, it just looked creepy. It just looked creepy. It looked like something that would scare a child. If a child saw that, a child would probably think that a statue came to life to harm them in some way. It was weird. But the one thing that I did like is in the articles that I was looking online about all these weirdo costumes that I'm not even going to talk about because they're just dumb. Blake Lively was almost always at the bottom of the heap of all of the photo compilations, which was actually very, very nice to see. I'd rather see Madonna and all of her crazy creepiness get more airtime for her shenanigans than Blake, because seriously, I'm just done. I'm just done with that woman. I'm just done with it. So yeah, it's boring. Moving on. Okay, so really quick, let me give you an update on this Sennabale garbage. So as you know, looking at my notes here, April 10th, 2026 was when the lawsuit was filed. So Sennabale, that charity that Harry and that Prince Lesotho started, Sennabale's filing a defamation claim against Prince Harry and an individual named Mark Dyer, identifying them as architects of a media campaign triggering cyberbullying against its leadership, namely Dr. Sophie Chandauka. And his response through his spokesperson, he categorically denies all of this. He says that it's damaging. How dare they even put forth such allegations? And then they were also even questioning, like, oh, where is Sennabale getting the funds to even pursue this lawsuit? Is it coming internally? Like what's going on here? And it's really funny because it shows you what a snake of a thing it is to even say or assert, because in that lawsuit that was filed, Dr. Sophie's a smart lady. And in that statement, they made it abundantly clear on the website that this is a privately funded lawsuit. Dr. Sophie is a multimillionaire that she's pretty much made it clear that this is internal funding handling the filing of this lawsuit. And she knew what he was going to say. That's why she put it in the statement on the Sennabale website. And, like clockwork, you can count on him and his sleazeball attorneys to insert that in there. That little kind of dig in there that, oh, where are they getting the money to do this? Is it from internal funds? Just because they have nothing else to say. That he probably doesn't have a leg to stand on. And we all know that the UK Charity Commission last summer, August 2025, when they came out and made their statement on their ruling, their little mini investigation into all this, they came out and they basically kind of admonished both parties and said that there was weak governance, and they were criticizing both, Dr. Sophie and Sentabale and Prince Harry and the Prince Lesotho for kind of just basically airing their dirty laundry in public, that all that would serve to do was to just basically diminish the reputation of the charity, which is what you do not want to do. You don't want to diminish a charity's reputation, because who's going to want to give money then? So that's what they really did. So what I was finding out is that, again, this UK court system, it's so unbelievably freaking slow, okay? So Sentabale officially filed this claim on March 24th, 2026. And right now it's in very, very, very early stages, meaning that Prince Harry and his team have a specified term, a length of time in which to respond to the filing of this defamation claim. And we don't even technically know if it's just been announced that they're going to do it, like, everything that we heard in the media this past month, or if it's something that he has been served with and it's been officially filed. And then that's where that official timetable starts kicking in, where he can take his time in responding. And it can be up to 28 days or even longer if Harry and his defense team choose to file an extension. So it seems like this thing is going to drag, and it's going to drag on and on and on. And I'm sure Harry and his legal team are going to do everything they can to drag it on for as long as they can. But like this whole Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni saga, I don't think that it's ever going to see the light of day in trial. Dr. Sophie Chandauka, and I've made videos on her before last year when all this first broke with the Sentabale thing, when she went on Australian television and rightly defended herself against Harry and his accusations.
Yes. What you're essentially saying is that the Duke of Sussex is guilty of harassment and bullying and improper conduct in the governance of a charity.
Well, let me put it to you this way. I'm going to give you a really good example. The only reason I'm here, Trevor, is because
against her. She's a smart lady. She's a savvy lady, and she ain't going to take any of Harry and Meghan's guff. And I'm sure she's got receipts. And I'm sure she has been building a tight, iron-tight, methodical case against this man, and he doesn't want any more coming out about him, and in my opinion, his shady character and dealings, the way he deals with people. I really feel, I've said it before, he is an entitled elitist who feels I'm this blue blood who can do whatever the heck I want, treat people any way I want because I'm a blood royal. I am a blood prince of the realm. How dare Dr. Sophie try to push me around? And it's funny because they, meaning Meghan and Harry, have used the issue of race to stranglehold and strong arm people for so many years. And now you've got a proud, strong Black woman coming out and saying, no, you will not treat me like this. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I'm sure she's got a really good case that she's building, and his lawyers are probably going to go to him and say, hey, Prince Handbag Herald of the realm, do you really want this getting out? Do you really want more of this, more of these court cases and all of this petulant behavior being out in the public? We've already seen the way that he acted on the stand a couple months back, saying, oh, I don't recall being called, Mr. Mischief or whatever the hell it was he was saying. And I don't recall this. My friend circle isn't leaky. And then all this stuff comes out from Charlotte Griffith, who's writing for the Daily Mail, that, oh yeah, your ship is leaky as hell, Harry. All these Daily Mail people, all these reporters were, from Rebecca English, Christy Nichols on down, are all saying, we're not getting our information by nefarious means at all. We're getting it from Harry's friends. So he's full of it. I hope that Dr. Sophie in the end gets what she wants. And I'm sure what Dr. Sophie wants is a statement of vindication, that she was mistreated, that she was, racially mistreated, if you know what I mean, that she was a target of hate. And I'm sure that Harry, in my opinion, activated his little social media network. You know how he claims social media is such a horrible thing, but yet he's always got people at the ready to go after and bully people. So I hope that she gets what she wants, a statement saying that she was defamed and mistreated by this man. And we'll just have to see how that goes and what is going on there. But yeah, I just basically, I saw all of this and I'm like, okay, this is going to drag on. I'm sure it's going to drag on. He's going to take as long as he can up to the 11th hour. And then once it finally is set to maybe actually go to trial, they'll put the kibosh on it because they don't want this to be out there, and they do not want to give Dr. Sophie a chance to really show the real Harry and Meghan, because trust me, we all know it. We're just looking for the real proof. So moving on from that. Lord Jesus, I ask that you bless Meghan as I speak about this topic. Heck, bless me as I speak about this topic. Help me to be as charitable as I can, to be not as snarky as I want to be. I got this article pulled up, the People magazine article about her making this little Chicago pilgrimage over this past week. One of her best friends from Northwestern University's son apparently made his first Holy Communion this past week at a Catholic church in Chicago. Meghan was there. I'm relaxed. I'm going to take a sip, okay? I'm sure some of you, when you saw this article, you were like, oh, I know Jennifer's going to talk about this. Of course she is. I have to. So let's just look at the article, okay? Let's just be as straightforward as we can. Let's just look at the article. Meghan Markle makes solo trip to Chicago for godson's first communion. Godson, okay? First communion. People confirmed that the Duchess of Sussex attended the ceremony of the son of one of her best friends from college. So it's just a rare solo trip to commemorate a special occasion of a close friend's child. Reporter Natalie Martinez posted a photo on X of the Duchess of Sussex attending a first Holy Communion, well, they don't say holy, but it is holy, first Holy Communion ceremony at the Holy Name Cathedral in Chicago on Saturday, May 2nd. The photo shows Meghan, 44, in an elegant, I don't care what she's wearing. So people confirmed she traveled to Chicago over the weekend, la 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 la. And basically the only thing regarding that trip to the church, the cathedral, in this article, it ends here. It pretty much says a source also told people that Meghan arrived early to the church and waited with other families and friends in the pews, and that she didn't use a separate entrance or have any special accommodations. And then the article just goes into, when she attended Northwestern and, all that good stuff. Just basically talking about when she celebrated her son Archie's birthday or whatever. But that's either here nor there for this story. But let's just start with the end of the snippet, that she didn't receive special accommodations. She didn't use a separate entrance, none of that. And first thing I was like, you are in God's house, Meghan. Special accommodations, separate entrance, whatever. I mean, obviously her PR team made a point of that and gave that info to people as if to show us, how unassuming and humble that she is. Like, why go out of your way to say that you didn't use a separate entrance and you're not, well, yeah, because you're not the superstar in the cathedral. Our Lord Jesus Christ is, but I digress. I'm already getting pissy. I need to calm down. So let's just first start off by saying that it was a person, this reporter, Natalie Martinez, who made this social media post, and she put it up and she was like, oh, holy name vibes today. Sailor, that was Natalie Martinez's daughter, was walking in the first Holy Communion ceremony, and then she spotted that reporter Meghan and she took that picture. It was deleted almost immediately after she posted it, and then this People magazine article came out, which to me is like ding ding ding. It's all coordinated. It's made to be like that because they want the post deleted because they want the buzz about said post being deleted, so then Meghan and her team can put out their propaganda to people. But more importantly, what we need to talk about first and foremost is the use of the word godparent. And under Roman Catholic canon law, there is no way that Meghan Markle could be a godparent to a child in the Roman Catholic Church. She does not fit the requirements. And the requirements are basically you have to be a practicing Catholic who has received the sacraments of baptism, the sacrament of holy reconciliation, first reconciliation. You have to receive the sacrament of First Holy Communion and confirmation. So you have to be a baptized practicing Catholic who's been baptized, confirmed, all of it. She is not that. She has been baptized and confirmed in the Anglican faith, But technically, the only sacraments that the Roman Catholic Church say that are valid in the Anglican faith are those of matrimony and baptism. So there's that. And to me, Meghan definitely seems like a bit of an opportunist in that I don't know if there's any really strong faith basis in of herself. It was reported that she converted to Judaism when she married Trevor Engelson. Also, then afterwards, divorced. And in order to get married to Harry, it had to happen in the Church of England, and she had to be baptized in the Church of England and confirmed in the Church of England to move forward with their matrimony ceremony. Okay, so that tells me that even though she did attend a Catholic high school in Los Angeles, Immaculate Heart, that she wasn't a baptized Catholic, which, a lot of Catholic schools, I think most of them, you can attend. They don't make it mandatory that you have to be a baptized Catholic to attend Catholic school, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school. So obviously she wasn't ever a baptized Catholic, ever, because if she had been a baptized Catholic, she wouldn't have had to have been baptized in the Anglican faith in 2018, years and years later. Maybe she would have been confirmed, which is, the seal of confirmation, which is basically the adult initiation in the Anglican and also the Roman Catholic faith, saying to the community that you are a formal recognized adult member of that Christian community, and that you are then receiving the Holy Spirit and are charged with going out and spreading the message of Christ's gospel. That's what you are charged with at confirmation. When I was confirmed in the Roman Catholic faith 2014, we all had our big ceremony at the church I was in at the time in California, and the bishop is there. And what the bishop does is seal you with a special oil that has been blessed called chrism oil on the forehead to signify that you've received the Holy Spirit, you are confirmed. So point being, she doesn't fit the requirements as per Roman Catholic canon law to be a godparent to a Catholic child in the Roman Catholic Church. And, Catholic parishes and dioceses around the United States and the world use a verification process, and it involves paperwork to verify that the person that is going to be serving as a godparent, a Catholic godparent to a child, they have to show that they've been baptized and confirmed in the Roman Catholic Church. She doesn't have the qualifications to do that. She doesn't have the qualifying paperwork to prove to a parish or an operating diocese, and in this case, Chicago, to show that she could be an acting fully Catholic practicing godparent. It's basically like an affidavit that you have to sign confirming that you're over 16 years old, that you're a practicing Catholic. You have to show your documentation, all of which we know that she does not have. Now, there is a specific provision in canon law, Catholic canon law, as it pertains, and I have it in my notes, Canon 874, and what it establishes is something called the role of a Christian witness, meaning that if they're a baptized Christian in a faith that the Roman Catholic Church recognizes as being valid and, a valid baptism. Meghan's baptized in the Anglican Church, the Church of England. She's a baptized Christian, so she can stand in as something called a Christian witness. So what she's allowed to do is participate in a baptism ceremony or a communion ceremony. And in this case, it was a First Holy Communion ceremony, which is a sacrament in the Catholic Church. Now, she can stand as a Christian witness to witness it, but in the official Catholic Church sense, meaning she's not a godparent in the traditional canonical way. She's not providing religious instruction and guidance to that child because she's not a fully initiated member in the Roman Catholic Church. And I think what's happening, and a lot of people in our culture, especially if, they have a secular mindset and they're not practicing Roman Catholicism, and, that's where the godparent concept comes from, is my church, the Roman Catholic Church. So the godparent is basically there to provide spiritual guidance and make sure that the child grows up fully formed in the Catholic faith. Now, the tradition of a godparent is really ancient to the early Christian church. It was a years-long process in order to be fully initiated as a member of the Christian community. And there was a lot going on, and it was dangerous to be a Christian in the first few centuries in the church. And often you would have to have, so to speak, a sponsor, an adult person that would stand next to you and vouch for you that you were indeed, not a Roman spy or someone that was seeking to infiltrate and weaken the early Christian communities, that you were there to bear witness that you were someone that wanted to fully join and be initiated into the early church. And then around the time of St. Augustine in the late 4th and early 5th century. I believe he was born in like 354 or something. By that time, infant baptism was becoming more and more the norm. I think by like 800 AD or so, it was the universal norm. It was the norm starting in the Acts of the Apostles when they were baptizing whole households, meaning infants. But I know I'm getting really into the weeds here. But so St. Augustine, in his instruction and writings in about the late 4th century, early 5th century or so, he was saying that no, parents shouldn't be the sponsors. You should have a grown person, fully initiated member in the Christian community to stand in as a sponsor and a godparent to help rear the child up in the faith, God forbid if anything were to happen to either one or both of the parents. So this idea of being a godparent is a thoroughly holy and religious endeavor. Now, I know that People magazine is reporting, I'm sure via Meghan, that, she's there, she's the godparent. Great. You know what? All I'll say to that is Meghan may think that she's a godparent. She is not a godparent in the formal, traditional, religious Roman Catholic sense. I think that most people today, especially if they are not particularly religious, in secular communities all over, godparent is more like just a loving kind of term. Parents award VIP status to good friends or good family members and call them godparents, to solidify their position in their family as a very important person to their child. But it's not the traditional meaning of the word. So she can say she's a godparent all she wants. This friend of hers from Northwestern can say that she's a godparent all they want. Essentially, if some type of provision was made for her in that cathedral, it was that of a Christian witness, not a traditional, fully documented, recognized godparent. Now, in my humble opinion, it would be nice to get some official word or statement from that cathedral, that Catholic parish in Chicago, about she is not a traditional, formal, recognized godparent in the Catholic faith. She was a witness or, something to that effect. I don't think we're going to get that, but I can assure you in the traditional canonical sense, she is not a godparent. I think it speaks to her ignorance of what it really means. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Maybe Meghan is taking religion somewhat serious in the sense that she's offering religious guidance or instruction to this child that just received the sacrament of Holy Communion. I don't know. But it is somewhat infuriating to see that label just be thrown around like that. A label that you can just slap on anybody. Let me assure you, through everything I told you, she's not a traditional, formal godparent recognized by the church. It would be nice if she wanted to do it and go through the steps to do it. She would have to become a fully initiated adult member through the OCIA process, which is the official initiation, the catechesis of adults into the Roman Catholic Church. I don't foresee her wanting to do that since she is already formally baptized and confirmed in the Anglican faith. Maybe she's happy being a Christian witness and fulfilling that duty, kind of offering emotional support, but she's not a godparent in the traditional religious Catholic sense, unfortunately. And also the only other thing I could think of to say is it's a good thing to see Meghan in church. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. Hopefully she's attending regular Sunday services. Who knows if the Church of England or the Anglican Church has a parish somewhere near where Meghan lives? Who knows? But it's always good to see a baptized Christian attending Mass or a religious ceremony like a First Holy Communion. We're all sinners and we all need to get our butts to church, but those are my thoughts on that whole godparent thing. Gotta say, initially I was, quite annoyed, just annoyed by Meghan's PR machine and their fundamental lack of understanding as to what godparent means. I know there's a lot of people that don't really know what it means. And again, they just think it's a kind of status VIP loving label that they're giving a non-religious friend, and everyone's existing and coexisting in this secular world. But there are real meanings to these titles, and hopefully I've helped you guys understand a little bit about what it means in my faith. Let's all pray for this woman. Again, great that she showed up to the cathedral, and hopefully this is the Holy Spirit making some kind of strides in her life. Just the fact that she would get on a plane and fly to Chicago for a religious ceremony, always a good sign of hope and faith, right? I know I've rambled on long enough. Let me know what you think about all the stuff we talked about in the comments down below. If you have not yet, please subscribe to the channel, you guys. My growth has been so stalled in the last few months, and that strike I had on my channel regarding the whole Errol Flynn series that I had to take down, I think has really put me back a good 10 steps, because my views are just not what they were even 2 months ago. It really seems like I'm at a standstill here. So any support that you can give me, I would be so appreciative. I think 54% of people watching my videos and even coming back to watch and rewatch are not subscribed. So that would be so helpful to me. Please help me get to 30K. I have been hovering around the 26K, 27K mark for way too long. I would love to hit 30K, and I know with your help and support, I can get there. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.